I lost my Dodgers hat. I got to get a new Dodger. Dave Roberts is the best.
Actually covered him when he played for the Dodgers, believe it or not, all the way back in 2004.
I thought you were going to say here. You're too young for that.
No, 2004. Dave Roberts, right before they got traded to Boston, or was that 2003? And they made the greatest stolen base in the history of the Red Sox.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, that sparked a 3-0 comeback against the Yankees, right?
All I do is watch basketball.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so
I got issues. I'm not very cultured.
switching to basketballs, what's kind of the focus and message going into this game, rematch against SC for your players?
Well, it's our first repeat this year. So whenever you're playing repeats, obviously both teams are going to dissect the tape of, you know, what worked, what didn't work, what adjusted, you know, what their game plan was. They're looking at ours, what, you know, so, you know, we're all doing that. Ultimately, though, these type of games come down to performance, I think. You know, they're going to be ready to play. They had a great win Saturday. Didn't surprise me. They struggled at Arizona, didn't look like themselves. But as you guys know, I have great respect for Coach Enfield. So Andy does a great job. They righted the ship quickly. They look great Saturday night. But in a game like this, both teams are going to be ready. It's because, you know, it just comes down to performance. You know, so you know, we're both going to make a lot of adjustments, I'm sure.
Do you think they might try to they had so much success with their defense in the second half?
Sure. Absolutely.
That they will maybe see if that can work again?
I'm sure. But they're a different team now with Vince. You know, so they can now rotate Josh Morgan and Vince, we recruited him, so he's a tremendous kid. So it's just, I'm happy for him. But you know, they can rotate those guys, and a lot of what they were doing was to try to protect Josh Morgan's foul trouble and fatigue. But now with Vince healthy, you know, they can be a little more aggressive with those two guys. So they're a bit different team, a better team now.
What does he add?
Well, again, like I just said, it's a change that now you don't have to protect Josh Morgan.
Yeah.
And try to keep him out of foul trouble the whole game. You can play them both and be aggressive defensively, and it gives them size and a, you know, rim runner and finisher so the whole game. So they're just a better team.
Speaking of additions, any chance Amari he looked really good in warm-ups?
Yeah, he's close. So
chance he could go?
You know, he's the ramp up stuff. So practice. You know, you partially practice, you know, so it's a new wave stuff, you know. Coach Palmer and I were saying in our era, you know, when he coached at Compton Centennial, I coached at Cincinnati Woodward, we had one roll of tape for the whole team and no medicine. So now it's so high tech now, I just stay out of it. You know, the trainer, one play off, this play on, I can't keep up with it. So they tell me he's, you know, he looks good, I would agree. So they tell me he can play, he'll play. It's all so high tech now. It's too much for me.
In practice today, is he pretty much full go, or is he still limited?
Again, I just say whatever Tyler said. You know, Tyler's the man with that stuff.
Yeah. With you mentioned Vince, what's the key for Adem in that matchup to having success?
Yeah, it's interesting because last game they were able to put Harry Hornery on him, and you know. So with Adem, it's always, you know, trying to be aggressive and staying out of foul trouble. On defense, on offense, we got to throw the ball to him when he's open, deep in the paint. We got to do a better job of passing. Offensive struggles for me are all related to lack of execution. So you got to, when you're supposed to screen, you got to screen. As a passer, you got to make the right pass at the right time. If not, you end up just dribbling in circles and trying to get one-on-one play to bail you out. That's an area where and I tell you guys this all the time, it gets harder to score as the season goes on. Scouting reports, teams get better, coaches batten down the hatches. So if you don't execute, 5-on-5, you don't execute, you're going to struggle. So, and as a big man, you're relying upon passing a lot. to get you the ball at the right time in the right place. So that's a big part of it too for Adem's offense, is on his teammates as well.
Coach, USC's I believe they're the top 2-point percentage defense teams
Yeah.
in the nation.
Every year though. Just did you know that?
No, I just happened to
Go
look
ahead,
at
look
the
it
stats.
up.
Yeah, what else do they do well in the paint?
I say it every
mid-range?
time we play them. Every time we play them, they defend the paint. That's just their, everybody's got ways they play. Like Washington State defends the 3-point line. Kyle's, that's his belief. Teams that are high ball pressure teams, they're tight on you. They're going to defend the 3-point line. USC always defends the paint. Always. That's just what they do, and they're good at it. That's every time we come in here at this press conference. I've told you that for 4 years. They do a great job of it. It's not just because of size either. It's schematic.
Jalen tweeted out that the shooting woes weren't going to last, and the team was getting back in the gym to do the work.
You lost me when you mentioned Twitter.
What can you work on to improve shooting?
Passing. I always say this to you guys. Passing is the key to good offense. Throw in some good screening as well. Passing is the key. When you miss people timing is everything. So it's either the guys, you pass on time, he's open, you pass late, he's not. Or you completely miss him. Or you throw a bad pass. It's hard to score in 5-on-5. There are no secrets, especially when we play each other. There are no secrets. That's why I say there are no secrets in games like this. Comes down to performance. Like, for instance, Drew Peterson, whenever the last time they beat us last year over there, right? I mean, he looked like Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
I can be frustrated and you go back and watch the tape. It's just, games like this, performance, certain guys play really, really well. We, coaches, we lament about certain things, and then you have to look at reality. And they played Arizona State. Boogie Ellis made a bunch of threes. Played really well. Drew Peterson played really well. Arizona State couldn't make a shot.
And defensively, you guys have had a lot of success with the press, but obviously that's a lot of it's also predicated on made baskets. Is there anything else?
Can't score, can't press.
Right. Is there anything else you can do to speed up a team when you aren't making shots?
Ball pressure, activity, absolutely. We have a saying, the guy on the ball's got to get something done. And sometimes what you're getting done if you're a dead fish on the ball is you're doing a great job of letting them run their offense and find the open man. So, defense is about effort. It's about effort. You better get something done on the ball and guard 2 people off the ball, meaning you're helping the guy on the ball and you're not giving up a shot off the ball. It takes tremendous effort. Tremendous effort. Good effort isn't good enough. And so when you're talking about like creating some transition, it takes great effort. You got to be disruptive. Really, being disruptive it's going to take a lot of effort and energy. And the 5 guys engaged, and that way you can get some hands on balls, force some tough shots, and get out on the break, that'll solve offensive issues quickly.
To piggyback a little bit off, you were kind of referencing back in the day when you had one roll of tape, kind of how things have changed. I kind of wanted to ask
No pre-wrap either.
No pre-wrap. Okay. I wanted to kind of ask you, when it comes to like individual development,
Yes.
especially in the off season. I know we're in the middle of the season, but curious to know your thoughts on when you have players that have individual trainers. Does that kind of, you roll your eyes at a lot of that stuff nowadays compared to what maybe individual development used to be?
Well, I think it's good to be in the gym. First of all, with all young people, like my daughter's in theater. She's better. I'd rather have her in theater than in her bedroom staring at a computer. Sure. So it's good to be in the gym. The question is, what are you doing in there?
So when it comes to what guys are doing in there,
Tough because I'm not in there.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now Darren shows me some funny things.
That's okay. Maybe that's what
Darren shows
when
me
you
some
see
funny
stuff like
things.
that.
Yeah, what I talk to all our guys about this, and I'm a huge believer in this because at this point now, I'm experienced. I'm not going to call myself old, but I'm experienced. My hair will tell you the truth. is outside of centers. Okay, most guys' career will end because their lack of, at some point, you know, their career will end because their inability to make open shots. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Outside of a guy that's just career can be extended because he's such a good defensive player. Most guys' career will end because their inability to make open shots, because they can pay somebody else that can make a higher percentage than you. So to me, my advice always, we got to become a better shooter. All that other stuff that I think you're referring to,
Right.
one-hand passes off the wall and all that. You gotta be able to shoot the ball. You gotta be able to shoot it in at a high percentage, because you're playing a sport that's played all over the world now. Our sport's the hardest sport to make it in, by far. The smallest team, baseball's,
Just from the numbers.
baseball's twice as much. Football's 4 times as many players. So the major sport, hockey, I have to ask Eric Johnson how many. I don't know how many, but I know they got a lot of dudes over there. None of our guys are tough enough for that anyway. But point being, it's the hardest sport to make,
Right.
because it's played around the world, and it's the smallest team. So, you better be able to shoot the ball in.
And then just want to run real quick. Today they're picking McDonald's All-Americans. Just your thoughts at all, just on the game, and if it interests you at one point, if it still does, if you don't care about it.
It again, a long time ago, when, I got to spend time with the great Kobe Bryant, and by the way, did you see the movie on Sonny was announced yesterday? I'll show it, The Hollywood Reporter. Matt Damon plays Sonny. Ben Affleck.
Yes,
Ben
yes,
Affleck's
yes,
playing
yes,
Phil Knight.
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm excited to be at that premiere. But anyway, Sonny was the originator before the Dapper Dan, before the McDonald's game. So it's great for the kids, exposure, good for them, give them to have some fun. But I think the fallacy is that if you're selected to that, or somebody ranks you high, that you're gonna make it. I would tell you, like, guys, I'll give you examples of 2 guys played a long time in the NBA that I recruited. The best thing that happened to them is they didn't play in those games. Jason Maxiell, Francisco Garcia. Because what happens sometimes is you think, well, I'm the man, I'm gonna make it, versus the guy that comes in that doesn't have all that hype, and he comes in with the right attitude. So, it's hard on young kids when everybody around them tells them, some kid in 9th grade, that you're the greatest thing ever. I mean, you would believe it too if you were 14 years old. It's tough on those kids. So I feel for all those kids, because what happens now, you put the spotlight on, the weight of the world on them. So, but I get it. I mean, it's part of it.